Hey folks, it is Vince the Evil DM, back with another episode here on my channel. I'm going to be starting up a new series here on my channel, talking about, well, not talking about, actually playing 4 Against Darkness, a solitaire dungeon delving paper pen and game that's out there. It's been around for many years, and I've talked about it various times on my channel. And roll for initiative, so it's nothing new to most of my listeners or viewers, but I've had it for such a long time and never really played it too much. I played it a little bit here and there. It was fun. It makes some really good dungeons if you want to use for your D&D game as well. But so what I decided to do on my channel is gather up a buddy of mine, Jeff, who was on Friday Night Hangouts, and we're playing this as co-op. He took 2 characters, I took 2 characters. It's a very simple system, and you can generate random rooms, as you can see here, by just rolling dice, and you draw on the table. What we did was we took dungeon tiles, and we put the dungeon tiles down, randomly used those things, and we just rolled based on what was in the room. Because you can actually just randomly roll what's in the room each time, because it has different tables for you to roll in. You start with the room contents right here, and you roll 2d6 to figure out which other charts you go to. But in our case, what we did was we roll, and then we just pick cards. I made these, well, I found most of these in a card format, so we pick cards instead of rolling, which makes it a little interesting. And as we go along, we pick our tiles out, and we move across the dungeon, and we're going forward. It's a very simple system of rolling d6. D6 to attack, plus any bonuses your character has. You have to hit the monster's level or above to hit him. If when you're defending, you roll for defense. You have to get above the monster's level for defense. It's very simple. You start with 4 level 1 characters if you want to play this solo. I just want to do like an introductory overview of this because we're learning it as we're playing together. It's a really cool game. I spoke about it many times on Roll for Initiative, but you have your basic classes in here, your traditional classes of your warrior, your cleric, your rogue, your wizard, barbarian, elf, dwarf, halfling, and that's it. And then you have some equipment lists that you can buy after you make your characters up, because each of them will have a starting gold amount, and you can roll for that if you'd like. See, starting gold 2d6, and you can start with that. It's really up to how you want to handle it, but you don't have to. You can. But then there's a list of things you can buy, and then as you go through the dungeon, you can always collect other things. Like, for example, there's a treasure chart here. Let me just get to that for you. Magic treasure. You can always find all these various different things. Treasure table. Sometimes it's gold, sometimes it's not. Each individual monster, there's like 3 levels of monsters that are in here. There's the vermin. Think about that as, like half hit dice creature, or the ones that are really annoying, or they're basically considered a nuisance monster. You don't really gain anything from these things. You just fight them. Sometimes you'll get something, sometimes you'll not get something. Chances are you'll get nothing, because they're just a waste of time. Minions, which are the standard monsters inside the dungeon, and once you defeat 10 of these, you can get an experience point at which you could try to level up one of your characters. And then we have the boss table. Now, there's only one main boss in every dungeon, so you have to try to find him. That's your goal. But you can roll on the boss table, and it's kind of like a mini boss, Doesn't have to be the big boss, but there's a small chance, a 1 in 6 chance, that it might actually be the actual boss. And then the adventure is kind of over at that point, but you can continue exploring. It's up to you. There's no real... Sometimes you will honestly get a quest if you find a special event room, and it'll give you a quest like, bring me the head of this, bring me gold, on them alive, things like that. So it can keep you occupied, and there's an epic rewards, because sometimes you get an epic reward for doing quests and things like that. It has a bunch of rules for rotating rooms, like you saw here. The various rooms. Sometimes you may run out of room, or it doesn't fit when you're drawing it, because the way they have it, I don't know if it's in here, but yeah, it's not in here. They only want you to use a very small... Yeah, it's not in here, but okay. They want you to use a very small piece of graph paper. I think it's 20 squares by 28 squares, or 20 by 28, something like that, to use for your dungeon. So you actually have a limited amount of space when you're drawing up your dungeon. So when you run out of room, you pretty much run out of room until you find the boss. Now, you can say when... Obviously, you're playing solo. So you can say whenever you want, after an hour, the next room I find, that's the boss, and then that's it. You can also say that, once I reach a certain point in the dungeon over on the map, I find the boss. Or you can just keep rolling around until you find the boss in the dungeon. Either way, there's no wrong way. See, I ripped pages that played this so much. There's no way to do this wrong. You're playing by yourself. You're playing to have fun. So that's what you do. You play to have fun. So anyway, I'm going to have a couple adventures of this with me and Jeff doing this on Tabletop Simulator, and we're going to see how that goes. We're learning as we're playing again. Oh, I'm learning again. He's learning for the first time. So hopefully it'll be a fun time for both of us, and hopefully a fun time for you. So with that said, I'm going to head out. Tell me what you think about this. And if you want to see a little bit more about this, I'll definitely do some more for you. And keep it original, keep it old school. Good night, everybody.
Don't ever laugh as the hearse goes by, for you may be the next to die.